All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris, and this is my channel, Bar911970. And as always, I thank you guys and gals for taking the time to hear what I have to say. And we got an interesting scenario. The first thing I want to say is I'm still doing this as of now on Google Plus. So if you want to ask a question, all you have to do is be on my Google Plus page. So following me there makes it easier. I'm going to be using the Google Plus until they stop doing it on September 12th. I have the other program actually working, even though it's so much more limited. There's nothing I could do about it, but at least I got it to work. And I want to thank, I think it was Sierra or Sierran that gave me that link. Sierra, I believe, but I appreciate it. So I want to wait a second for people to get in before I start talking about this scenario. There are actually two scenarios that I want to talk about that could possibly happen that could potentially keep Obama in office. Now, people can say, how can that work? And Sunbeams Sting, just so you know, I'm not on my the newest one now. I'm still on Google Plus, so this one works easily. The new one, I figured out how to make it work. It's ridiculous how complicated it is, and the whole question and answer thing is no longer going to be a feature. But the Google Plus here is going to work until September 12th. What a convenience that it's one day after September 11th that they are actually going to stop this whole thing, which was so much easier. The other way, at least you could hear me. That's all I care about. So this one's still the old one. So we'll just base it on that. But like I was saying is I need people to share this. What I recommend, especially on Donald Trump's Facebook, Twitter page, all this stuff, post the link to this video once it uploads to see if he'll respond. Because if enough people do it, and nothing gets done, then you know that somebody might not be as uninvolved as they claim. We'll find out. But post it on the social networks of the news channels, Hillary Clinton's, Obama's. Let them know that we know about this stuff. So there are two possible scenarios. Both of these were sent to me via email. So I want to read these for you and let you know what I think about this, because both of these could basically allow Obama to become president again for a third term. Now, for all the people out there that say, well, you're only allowed to serve two terms, how can that be? Well, remember, for example, the mayor of New York during September 11th, his term was over, but he continued on because of the crisis. So if there are crises, they could actually continue where they leave off. So keep in mind, we're voting on November 8th. Well, the people are going to vote. I keep telling people votes don't matter, but, whatever, that's fine. But the new president doesn't come into office until January of the next year. So a lot can happen in between this time. So let me read the first email. Now, of course, I'm not an insider. I can't guarantee these things will be happening, but especially if we basically put it out there saying, we get this stuff, we know what's going on, and we want to prevent it. Well, the quieter we are, the more likely these things are a possibility. So I'm not going to say these are going to happen, because especially two different scenarios, one might happen, both might happen, neither might happen. So keep that in mind. All right, so here's the first one. And let me just first see if we got enough people that are watching. Yep, okay. That's definitely good enough. Okay, so here is the first scenario. All right. It's believed that Hillary Clinton will win the election in November, which I said almost 9 months ago that she was selected to win. This is not an election, it's a C-election. And I gave plenty of things about that. The media is going to make everybody think it's Hillary Clinton. The news media is all for Hillary, no matter where you go. I showed a video the other day exposing the fraud as far as at least the crowds between Trump's and Hillary's. So it's going to prove that the majority of people want Trump, but she's going to end up in office anyway. Okay. Now, this is the scenario number one. Sometime between November and January, after she's been, quote unquote, elected, Hillary will be indicted. Now, remember, this whole email thing. Now, these kind of scams have been going on for decades, if not generations. This is the first time it's becoming public. There's a reason for that. These things don't happen by accident. So they're already getting people angry, and they want people to Like they say in the Donald Trump rallies, lock her up, lock her up. They're not going to lock her up. They are going to do an investigation. But remember, she has to be first, even if she wins the presidency on November 9th, they do the election and say she won. Remember, she has to be sworn in to become president, and that doesn't happen until January. So if between November and January she's indicted, well, she's technically not the president yet. So keep that in mind. Because right now the IRS is now investigating the Clinton Foundation, and the media is talking about this. So the fact that the media is talking about it says they're trying to push that agenda to get you focused on it. So the whole email situation isn't over yet. Okay, so here's the next part. Once under indictment, she will not be able to assume the office of president in January. And also keep in mind that Tim Kaine, who will not actually be the vice president because neither he nor Hillary have been inaugurated. They haven't been sworn in, so he cannot assume the presidency either. The Speaker of the House can't move up to it because there is already a sitting president and vice president, Obama. So President Obama, in an executive order inciting quote-unquote emergency situation, gives himself another 4 years in office, and that's the only way possible. They're basically saying that Obama's been planning this for a while now, knowing that he has enough on Hillary to indict her. Had the FBI general indicted her based on the evidence from the FBI, this plan wouldn't have worked because the DNC would have moved quickly to come up with another candidate. So that's why, even though she had all this incriminating evidence, the FBI basically said, we're not going to do anything. Because then they would have had time to find another substitute to run for the president. But if they wait until after she's quote-unquote won the election and they indict her then, now there's no time for them to pick somebody else, and Obama will have to remain in office. So that is scenario number one. So basically, everybody's been complaining about why isn't she being indicted? Well, now you have an idea of what could be a possibility, that they're waiting for her to become president, then indict her, and then Obama will have to stay in office. So that's an interesting scenario. Now, let me show you tell you about possibility number two. It involves Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's husband. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if it's possible. I'm going by speculation, but if we put it out there, it's going to be hard for them to try and sneak it under the radar. But according to this, one of my sources, Bill Clinton will be diagnosed with a major illness later this election cycle. He is probably already sick, but they are waiting to announce it at the right political time. Why? It will benefit Hillary in these ways. Number one, it'll give sympathy. Number two, gives her an excuse to drop out if necessary. 3, gives her an excuse for her inevitable lapses from the campaign trail for her own health issues. 4, gives her another health card to play. And she'll say something like, I know healthcare. My husband is in a hospital right now undergoing treatment. I know how expensive and difficult it is. That's why we need Obamacare, end quote. But yeah, she's a millionaire, so I don't think she's worrying about Obamacare. She can pay for any kind of illness cash. And 5, this is probably the biggest one, it allows her to play the war on women card against Trump. And it goes by, let me explain. Right now, Hillary can't play that card because Trump says you enabled Bill as a sexual predator. Once Bill is quote-unquote sick, Hillary can play the whole sympathy card by saying you're attacking a sick man in the hospital who can't even respond. And that could get a lot of women and a lot of news channels to basically give the sympathy card. So there are 2 scenarios that can potentially happen. Now, I'm not saying they are going to happen. But if we say nothing, it increases the likelihood of these things. If we share these kind of videos, and again, it doesn't have to be my video. If you want to make your own video, please, by all means, do. This is not about me. It's about the message. So if all of a sudden, despite how many thousands of people are going to Trump rallies, despite how many thousands of people want Trump in office, despite how many thousands of people will want to vote for Trump, if Hillary all of a sudden becomes president anyway, first of all, I said there might be a scenario where people might riot. That would be another reason for Obama to keep office. So that's my own scenario that I talked about a week or two ago, where they're trying so much to promote that. I mean, Donald Trump says all the time in every one of his talks to different states, because he does 3 of them a day most of the time. He's always talking about how the political system is rigged. He's talking about how the media is rigged. He's getting people fired up. And that's why they're always chanting things like, you know, lock her up when it comes to Hillary Clinton. So if he ends up, despite how many thousands, if not millions of people vote for Donald Trump, all of a sudden Hillary comes and becomes president, well, there could be riots. And you know what will happen if there's riots. Obviously, he can't be sworn in. The president, the acting president now, Obama, who is still president, could just say, oh, we're going to claim martial law, even though it's been around since the 1800s already. That's why you see that flag with the gold trim. That's a military flag. It's maritime law. So there are a couple of situations where they could make it like, oh, well, see, we did the actual process. Your votes actually counted, but there's a scenario where we can't do anything. So think of it this way. They're holding information out, which means that WikiLeaks, if that's the case, they could be a part of it. Maybe that's why they're taking so long to put out additional information. Maybe that key thing that will get her indicted will be after the fact of her becoming president. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, as much as people want to believe places like WikiLeaks to be honorable, are you telling me there is nothing they could have found on the Republican side that they could have put out? Are you telling me that the Republican National Convention and the Republican Party is nothing but angels? And yet they only put out stuff about Hillary Clinton, and they're doing it at certain time periods. Right now, they're setting people up to see, oh, look, there's a fraud. We're being set up, ladies and gentlemen. You have Trump playing the good guy, saying everything that you want to hear, getting the crowds motivated to think there can be a president that's finally different, because he's not the typical politician. He can't be bought and sold because he's already a billionaire. He's saying that the political system and the media is corrupt. So his job, in my opinion, is to get the people wanting to have him and getting them so emotional based on fear, because he keeps talking about radical Islamic terrorism, building a wall, which is ridiculous because, you know, maybe in the 1500s when we didn't have things like planes and helicopters and other things, maybe a wall would have worked. But a wall that only basically goes across the Mexican border, you know, are they going to put it all the way around Florida? So all of a sudden, all the people at the beachfront properties are going to have to look at this gigantic wall? I don't think they are. So this wall, how is it really going to keep people out? It's just amazing how people will cheer. But what the job is to get you angry at the system. Oh, look, the media is corrupt. Oh, look, the politicians are corrupt. Then WikiLeaks comes in and plants the seeds even further by saying, look, Hillary is not as honest as you say. And then they gave the first little test where they had the whole FBI and the scenario with Hillary Clinton. She gets away with it, and people get even angrier. And now Trump is going out there saying, look, this crooked Hillary, because that's what he wants you to think of, crooked Hillary. He's putting that in your mind. That's why he keeps saying it over and over again, to get you emotionally involved, to set everybody up. So everybody's going to go and say, all right, we're going to vote for Trump. We want him because he's different. We want him, even though the media is saying the opposite and talking about Hillary. And then all of a sudden, when Hillary becomes president, we can have several of those scenarios happen, because you always got to have a backup plan. So I would love to know what people think about this, but I'm not going to make this video too long because I want people to watch this. But I have a feeling this is going to be a major setup. Let's put it this way. I wish I was wrong, but, you know, if anybody can tell me any honest government that anybody's had, I mean, please let me know. I think, in my opinion, this is one hell of a setup. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But if we stay silent about this, we allow it to happen. So what I'm asking is, if you care about this stuff, I'm not saying these scenarios are 100% going to happen. But if we don't say anything, we allow the percentage of it as a possibility to happen grow higher and higher. So post this video or make your own video and put it on your social network. Put it on Trump's website. Put it on Hillary's. Put it on Obama's. And put little tags that we know what could be happening. We're paying attention. Show them that the people are waking up. And I need you to share this video, ladies and gentlemen, because I would love to be wrong. And if we spread this information and enough people are waiting for this to happen, well, they'd be pretty stupid to actually allow it to happen. So we can actually prevent something from happening by saying, hey, guess what? We know it's happening. Because I guarantee you, if you are about to go on vacation for a week and you find out that one of your best friends is going to rob your house while you're away, I bet you won't go away, or you'll have somebody else there waiting for them. The idea is to do something to keep it from happening. Even if it's something you don't believe, you don't want to hear, that's irrelevant. So better to be prepared and be wrong, because what happens if we do everything to stop this and it doesn't happen? Well, that's a good thing. But if we do nothing and this does happen, then aren't we technically at fault for not sharing this information out to the public, making people see this as a possibility, whether they think it's crazy or not? If they listen to this before the election and think this is crazy, and one of the scenarios I mentioned happens, that's either one hell of a coincidence or there's something to this. So if you want to leave a comment in the comment section, please do. I'm going to continue to make videos. It's going to be a lot more frustrating after September 12th, I can tell you that. The question and answer will no longer be working. As far as I know, I tried with the encoder. I don't see anything on there that allows me to have other people join in. You know, there's not much we can do about it. Russell Hall says really quick, some believe something will happen that allows Obama to declare martial law so he will stay in office. Yep, that's the scenarios. There are two technical scenarios where that can happen. Either they indict Hillary, or because they've set it up via Trump to get the people to almost riot if Hillary becomes president, because they keep being programmed that the system's rigged. So people are going to be pissed. If they're all voting for Trump and Hillary becomes president anyway, they're going to be pissed and blame it on a corrupt system. And what are they going to do? They're going to riot in the streets. So what is Obama going to have to do? Well, according to him, reinstate martial law, but they're just bringing it out because it's always been there since the 1800s. So it's going to be an interesting scenario. Jake Barkan says, I'm with you, brother. Very glad to hear that. I always appreciate that. And Sunbeams Sting says, maybe they are first going to murder Donald Trump, then shut off YouTube and the other internet, and then the riots will come. And on 9/11, maybe. Don't think they would make it that obvious putting it on 9/11, to be honest. I mean, people would just really see that coming. And that might be just too much of a coincidence for even the sleeping masses and the willfully ignorant. I thought about the fact that they would assassinate Donald Trump, but I think he's part of the whole situation. He's playing the good cop. He's playing the one where I'll come and save you, and look, they're the bad guys. But it's just, to me, it's an interesting situation where WikiLeaks only shows emails from the Democratic side. That to me says they couldn't find anything about the Republicans. Are you telling me the Republican Party is all of a sudden a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses angels? Why didn't they put anything out on the Republican side? It's because they're pushing you in a certain agenda. And again, they use people's ignorance, their trust, and their emotions against them. And people will wave their flags enough to the point where they'll kill people. Believe me, the last thing you want to do if there's riots, stay away from them, because it's setting it up. You don't want to be anywhere near this election. That's my humble opinion. Stay home. Don't be a part of this election. Don't contribute to it, because they're setting it up. And what do? They always, when they make their omelets, we're the eggs. In my opinion, do not go vote. Do not participate in this. Stay home. And there are going to be plenty of people that are going to wish they did if this happens. And you know what? If it doesn't happen and everything's fine and Donald Trump becomes president and he actually makes a change, then you know what? I'll be proud to be wrong, because then that means potential good things might be coming to this country. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, especially with all the things that it smells of a setup. I'd love to hear your opinions. Sunbeams Sting says, indeed, you're right. I don't know if I'm right. We'll find out. But I trust my instincts, and my instincts are saying that this election's going to be an interesting election, and the people are going to fall into this trap, and they're doing it by waving their flags and chanting things they don't have a clue about. And I keep telling people, this is a rigged system. Do not trust any of them, and listen to what they say, and you'll figure it out. But people, even in the quote-unquote truther community, they want to believe Donald Trump's the savior. He cannot save a corrupt system, so he's either on board, or maybe they will assassinate him. Or if the scenario happens with Hillary, then it doesn't matter with Donald Trump, and he'll say, oh, well, I gave it my best shot. So I'm going to leave the video at there. If you want to leave a comment, you can. If you want to subscribe, please do. And if you care about this stuff, share this. Make people watch it. Post it on the social networks. Please do your part. I can't do it without you. All right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.